Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and the reaction to the last video I did like this with all the different Captain Americas versus Proxima was overwhelmingly positive. I want to thank you guys for all the support, and a lot of you requested that I do one for my main man Thor over here. Now Thor, also known as Thorazine as I call him, has had a lot of different looks in the game, and unlike other characters, he has actually transformed his look a lot. Cap, you know, he takes the helmet off, he puts it back on, he loses the shield, it turns into a Wakandan shield, he gets the hammer, but not too much, right? Hydra Supreme and 3099 were the uniforms that really changed his look, but Thor, he takes the helmet off, he puts it back on, he changes his arm and his weapon, and he gets a hood, right? He gets some scars on his face, and he gets 2 new weapons. He goes back to, you know, Stormbreaker. Really cool looks. He dual wields. Really cool looks for Thor. Now, I know the other reason why you guys asked me to do this video on Thor, because we know that Thor is not where he should be in the game right now. And the main reason for that is the 2 newest Lightning users, Beta Ray Bill and now Storm, have outclassed my boy Thor. Does Thor need a rework badly? No, I don't think he does. Would it be nice to get the Herald Thor uniform from Donny Cates' run? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, for sure. But yeah, I kind of go back and forth on that one because other characters need it more than Thor. I will 100% acknowledge that other characters need it more than Thor. However, he could definitely get it, and it wouldn't be I wouldn't be upset about it. I wouldn't be too upset about it. But we do need better rewards and better game modes first before the character reworks. So anyways, let's go jump into some content now. First, against EBONY MAW with the original Avengers Thor, which is basically probably one of the most comic accurate versions of Thor, where he's got the old style costume here with the sort of scale mail arms, and he's got the helmet. It doesn't look very good. It's very blocky. It's like 2015 graphics, but it's very OG. His damage is so bad. There's no way we can do stage 45. Oh no. Oh no, he's dead. All right. Okay. So I dialed it down to stage 40 against EBONY because Thor, I didn't know how bad Thor was, and I didn't know how far Thor has come since he got his, well, you know, since his original look. But man, Thor's really bad, guys. So just bear with me here. So Thor, poor Thor, he is really bad. As you can see, he's got no iframes. And he has 1 skill with defense, which is his one guard hit skill. Now, when he gets that tier 3 to land, you can see the damage is so much nicer now because he applies lightning resistance down. But good luck applying the lightning resistance down before dying, because you only have 1 skill to protect you. Literally, it's just 5. His skills look kind of cool, right? He channels lightning. He rises up a little bit here. Of course, this skill is so iconic from Infinity War, basically. Okay, so we got to the next phase. Basically, a lot of these... Oh, he's almost not fast enough to outrun the meteors. Basically, a lot of these tests are going to come down to whether he can get to this stage within a minute, right? Because this is the first big hurdle against EBONY, where he does this phase change. Now, unfortunately, Thor doesn't actually... Oh, he took a beating there. Thor doesn't fight EBONY much in the movies. He actually... I don't think he ever comes into contact with EBONY. But in the game, this would be the most preferential boss for him to fight. But as you can see, Thor has come a long way, because he used to be so painfully bad that at tier 3 with a CTP of Rage, he may not be able to clear. He probably can't clear this at all with a leadership and support. So this first uniform for Thor was the Age of Ultron, where he takes off his helmet, his hair is back, and he's got more of a beard this time. This one, I believe, did not change anything. It just gives Thor the opportunity to get the uniform buffs as well as the optional stats. But I think in terms of the skills, yeah, they're exactly the same. This is how a lot of old uniforms were. They weren't actually skill-changing uniforms or sort of buffing uniforms. They were all just cosmetic. Now we're getting a little bit luckier with the timing on our skills here, but you can see it's basically all down to, oh nice, it's all down to 5 and 6. But we're getting kind of lucky here. Maybe he is dealing more damage. Wow. Okay, maybe they did somehow tweak it a little bit. Aesthetically, this uniform looks almost the same. I almost wish I could zoom in a little bit more to see what's going on for Thor. It seems like he's a bit... The character models are a bit far away, right? But that's okay. We actually... Wow, we got down here with 10 seconds to spare. Wow, maybe just face tanking and waiting for 5 to come back is the way to go with old Thor. Not bad. So he gets down to 11 bars here. Not bad. Maybe I'm just getting better playing as Thor. He's going to get hammered here because I don't have the 5th up. But not bad. Here we go. Now, this was the first big makeover for Thor that got players really excited. We got the Thor who loses an arm and gets the different Stormbreaker, right, rather than Mjolnir. This one was really exciting. It came out with the Asgardian update, and he was one of the main fixtures along with Odin to come to the game. And he gets actually a couple of new skills here. He gets this new 4th skill where he's whipping. Really, really cool. The new 2nd skill. They enhanced his 3rd skill here, and now his 5th skill is a little bit higher on range. So they increased his range on 5. They gave him additional hits on a lot of his skills, and then they completely redesigned his 4th skill. And the 4th skill, man, he actually looks really cool doing his ultimate ability with this uniform. His 4th skill is actually quite nice now. It's got more hits than his old 4th skill, and I think it has an iframe at the very end. Let me try to trigger it here and see. He goes 1, 2, and then... Oh, it's not an iframe. Oh, you know what? I think it's his Ragnarok. I think it's the next uniform that gave him the iframe there. But it seems like he's doing more damage here. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. We're gonna get another... We're gonna pop another tier 3. Looks so cool with the hood. Okay, he's iframing, yeah. We actually didn't get much further. We didn't get much further because he iframed a lot, unfortunately. Yeah, he's just gonna be a clown here and dodge us, but aesthetically, this is one of Thor's best looks. And if I could play, so a lot of people ask for this in Marvel Future Fight. If you could play with any of the skills or the skills from the latest uniform, but you could have the look of one of the old uniforms, I would honestly contemplate using this uniform because aesthetically, it looks so sick to rise up for the tier 3. Let me get it one more time. It looks so sick to rise up for the tier 3 using this uniform and seeing the hood and seeing the cape behind him as he's jumping. It's very much like a superhero pose. The Thor Ragnarok uniform, which is the next one up, is another big jump for Thor where he got a couple of different skills reworked kind of completely. His 3rd skill now is really cool. He gets an iframe on 1 and 2. They changed his 5th skill, and then they made his 4th skill an iframe. So they actually gave him 3 new iframes. They changed his 3rd skill into this cool, like, call the lightning type animation, right? It looks really cool. And then, of course, he still looks sick as hell. He looks sick as ever, rising up. But it was really the survivability. Oh, yeah, and they added immunity. He gets immunity now on his 5th skill when he rises up. So that was a big, big change. This uniform actually was bugged, believe it or not, when it first came out. When this uniform first came out, we're not going to be able to apply that, darn. When this uniform first came out, the buff, he has a buff on his 3rd skill. Let me see if I can show you guys the buff here. Yeah, there, the 15% shock damage. So that 15% shock damage would stack infinitely. And so you could end up doing like insane amounts of damage. I'm talking like over 7 million ABX scores. It wasn't even 7 million at the time that you could get to, but it was like millions in ABX. And you could do world boss, but the game would lag because the game would basically be stacking up and keeping track of like 50, 60 stacks of this lightning damage. And it was just, you know, accumulating and accumulating the damage. It would be a cool mechanic, to be honest, for them to introduce into the game now, but it was completely broken because after a couple minutes of using the 3rd skill over and over again and stacking it, your game would lag so much that it would either crash or it would be running at like 1 frame per second. There may be still some YouTube videos out there of people showcasing it, but I remember the community was part of the community, anyways, was actually mad when they fixed the uniform, and it was like, guys, it's so obviously a bug. Like, we wanted Thor to be that strong, but not at the expense of lagging your game out and making it crash. Like, you know, imagine people who are on low-end devices. They're going to be in even more pain because after just a few uses of the 3rd skill, it would basically be unusable, right? So, but that was back in 2017, and that drama was quickly replaced when the Ultimates showed up like a month later. This uniform here, Infinity War, came out not too long after the one for Ragnarok, and this one again changed Thor in a big way. Gave him a full iframe on 5, brought back the animation on 4, right? So you remember that animation? It's so funny to see how animations sort of evolve over time. So you can see his damage spikes. The damage spike is crazy now, right? He's way stronger now than any of his previous forms. But if you take a look at his 4th skill, right, it's very similar to the War Thor 4th skill with the hoodie, with the red hoodie, right? Where he has one arm, one metallic arm, or one arm made of Uru. Very similar. All they did was they sped up the animation, and they added that iframe at the end. So that's where I was thinking that there was an iframe. I was just, you know, thinking that it was on the earlier iteration, but it wasn't. So they basically just copied and pasted that animation on 4. They made it spicier. They made it look nicer, of course, right? And then they just added an iframe at the end when he spins. Actually, you know what? They added the spin because on the old War Thor uniform, he doesn't spin at the end. He just slams. So they did add the spin. They might have just copied and pasted the spin off his old 1 or 2. Yeah, this uniform was another huge bump for Thor. Thor, almost every single uniform he's got since 2017 has been a big upgrade for him, which is why I kind of feel bad when people always beg for Thor uniforms, because there are other characters like Spider-Man, or even just other characters who have never gotten uniforms before, that have either never gotten a uniform, or when they get uniforms, they're not very good. They're not very big upgrades. And Thor has gotten, you know, you can see the upgrades, right? The first uniform was brutal, right? And now we're basically, so in the time that it took his first uniform to get to like, in the time that it took the first uniform to get down to like what, 11 or 12 bars, I'm almost done. So his damage is almost like 10 times more than it used to be. Last but not least, Endgame Thor, Fat Thor, Fortnite Thor, whatever you want to call it. This uniform caused a lot of fuss in the community because initially there wasn't enough of a buff to the uniform. You can see now the buff is crazy, but initially there wasn't enough buff between this and Infinity War, and so people felt like this was just a cash grab. Some people didn't like that he is like visibly fat. I really don't mind, but the real issue was that people were not happy with the buff, and so his 4th skill has a buff on it right there, where he slams he slams Mjolnir or Stormbreaker behind him, and he creates this like bubble that gives him a frenzy buff, the all attack, all defense crit rate buff. You'll see it here. It's a 25-25, right? Raging Storm, and this actually raises his damage by a lot. It just wasn't easy for us to see at the time when we were first covering the character, but it actually made Thor even harder hitting before than he was, right? So you see here, look at this, right? We were goofing around, but he's easily 30 to 40 seconds faster than Infinity War. So Thor, almost more than any other character, almost like Captain America, but even more so than Captain America, because Captain America was basically bad until Infinity War, right? And he also needed his tier 3 to be good. But Thor, I feel like Thor has been very lucky. He's one of the few characters that has had solid upgrades since before Infinity War. He basically had 3 solid upgrades back to back to back. Ragnarok in 2017, Infinity War in 2018, and then the Team Suit / Endgame in 2018. Very few characters have gotten consistently good upgrades back to back to back in a meaningful way. Year over year. I mean, she's obviously something that comes to mind, but she's only had 2 uniforms thus far, and her base power level is insane. But yeah, Thor honestly has had it pretty good in the realm of uniforms compared to some other characters who have gotten lots of bad uniforms or just never gotten more uniforms. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of Thor and his transformation from little Boy Scout to Destroyer of Noob Master 69. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.